We know that the human species began in Africa. And everybody who populates everywhere else in the world came out of Africa to do that.
Last year for my birthday, I went to Kauai and I had an amazing time. Absolutely amazing. Now, this is coming from a guy who swore up and down he would never go to Hawaii. But now I feel Kauai is the most amazing island ever. I mean, it has everything. I couldn't believe how beautiful and peaceful everything was, and I really couldn't believe how friendly everyone was. And I love the fact that I was able to get such cinematic footage. But then on August 8th, on my birthday, the fires in Maui started. And I'm apologizing now because at the time, I really couldn't be sensitive about their devastation. And that's because Maui was supposed to be the next leg of my trip, which I now had to not only figure out how to cancel, but how to get back home without losing money. And this, as you can imagine, was very stressful because I booked my accommodations in Maui through Vacasa. But Vacasa didn't want to let me cancel my trip. They kept insisting I went through with my reservation because it was such short notice. Even though I couldn't get on the island, I explained to them the governor shut down the entire island. But Vacasa wasn't hearing it. So my efforts to focus on what I could enjoy was real. It would have been stupid to get emotional and not enjoy the part of the trip that I was already on. But I realized by holding myself in check like that, I squashed a lot of my adventurous tendencies, and there were a lot of things that I thought of doing that I didn't do. And because of that, I'm going back. That's right, y'all. I'm going back. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about my new fascination for the history and beauty of Africa and how that fascination has put Africa on my bucket list. But as I think it will be foolish to just pack my bags and jump on a plane all willy-nilly, I'm going to take my time, do my research, and share that research with you in this video. So buckle up, people, because you're going on this journey with me. What's up, my peeps? Welcome to another episode from your favorite urban traveler. Now, you might be wondering, why am I dropping a video on Africa? Well, some of you already know that when I plan my annual August birthday trip, I start planning it in January. That's because usually when I go somewhere, I'm going there because there's something I want to do. Like when I went to Vegas, I went to Vegas just so I could drive an exotic car on a racetrack. When my daughter and I went to Washington, we wanted to stay in a couple of tree houses. When we went to France, we went to Leonardo da Vinci's house. And when we went to Madrid, it was because we wanted to be at the Madrid amusement park on my birthday. And now, thanks to YouTube and its algorithms, I've been learning more and more about Africa, specifically ancient Africa, thanks to channels like Mr. Imhotep, Kwalimeka, Without History, Black African Diaries, and The King's Monologue, of course. These channels have taught me so much, and it's piqued my interest. I mean, on the real, I've always wanted to visit Africa. I've always wanted to see its amazing beauty, but somehow there's always been something that's deterred me. And now that my interest is piqued, where would I go? Now, like I said, since the plans were already in the work for my August 2024 trip, going to Africa will have to be my next birthday trip in 2025. And the cool thing about that is that gives me time to plan properly because there's a lot to do on the African continent. What I'm finding fascinating about the continent of Africa is there's so many options, so many choices as to what you want to do, what you want to see, what you want to know. In fact, my options are virtually limitless. I mean, I don't have to just do a safari, which is what I grew up thinking about Africa. If I wanted to do virtually any kind of excursion, I could. If I was stupid enough to want to climb to the top of this, I could. Or I could chill on one of the beautiful beaches. research is showing me that I am going to run into some of the nicest people, and you already know it's the people that make a trip a good trip for me. Now, the irony of all this is I already know I won't be going to Egypt. And that's ironic because it's my research into ancient Egypt's history that got me interested in the history of all of Africa in the first place. But before my research, I never really gave the construction of the pyramids much thought. Somehow I just always thought they were amazing.
The pyramids are breathtaking. Starting off with the largest of the three pyramids of Giza, it was built back in 26th century BC. It is one of the oldest 7 wonders of the ancient world that actually remains largely intact. Constructed with over 2.3 million stones, each weighing in at a total of 2 to 15 tons. A true testament of human engineering, or as Elon Musk would say, aliens.
It happened. Extraterrestrial contact.
Now, that's just one of the things people would say and still say today in an effort to not give credit where it belongs, because there's just no way that a black African could have designed the Egyptian pyramids. And not only have they not wanted to give credit, but they've also had to ignore so many of the findings that prove the history of ancient Egypt. And if not for the YouTube creators I mentioned earlier, there's no way I would have known. I wouldn't have even thought that it was a black African, Imhotep, who designed the Egyptian pyramids. And I hope you check out their link down in the description, because Imhotep, ooh, talk about brilliance.
It is safe to regard Imhotep as the world's first genius because of his immense contributions to humanity and different fields of study, especially medicine, engineering, and architecture. One of the most intelligent humans who ever lived, Imhotep is notable for drawing the architectural designs used in building one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Interestingly, it is the only ancient wonder that still stands to this day.
If you read what the Greeks said, not what we think, but if you read what the Greeks said, they said they got everything from Egypt. They got all their knowledge from Egypt. Now, when did we come up with the idea that the Greeks created everything from scratch? Well, believe it or not, it happened in the 18th and 19th century.
Many of the early archaeologists came to the study of ancient Egypt and ancient Nubia from the perspective of Semitic languages or the study of the Hebrew Bible, and it was very important to them to bring Egypt specifically into the sphere of biblical studies. And so they had to carve Egypt away from Africa to bring it into that sphere. And the way that they did that was they used race.
It's an unfortunate fact of life that Romanticism, which has many great things about it, also has a dark side, which has to do with racism. And in the 18th and 19th century, it was decided that it was just not appropriate for all this knowledge to come from an African country.
So these early archaeologists effectively made ancient Egypt white in the sense that they made it part of a dominant Western culture, and ancient Nubia was separated from that. It was black. And this was how they took Egypt out of Africa and put it into this Semitic sphere, this biblical sphere.
Now, if you're wondering, why would anyone do such a thing? Why would anyone deny history? But come on now. You can't have colored folk knowing how great their ancestors were. You can't have them taking pride in their heritage, their history. It is sinful that people in positions of power have seemingly always wanted to suppress not only the history of Black people, but our abilities, our creativity, our beauty, and the amazing contributions Black people have made throughout history. And I believe everyone should know the true history of people such as Narma, Mansa Musa, Hannibal, and as I've already mentioned, Imhotep, a name that should be in every history book.
Born around 2770 BC, Imhotep hailed from Men-Nafur, a city the Greeks later named Memphis. He was one of 9 children in his family, son to the architect Khanefer and Credwank. His name translates to, "He comes in peace." By the time he turned 18, he was already very knowledgeable and well on his way to becoming a legendary figure. Imhotep wasn't just a scholar, he was also a family man, married with children. His training took place in Men-Nafure, a place dedicated to the deity Ptah, who represented creativity and was part of a greater divine concept. This is probably why many ancient texts refer to Imhotep as the son of Ptah. Imhotep achieved great success in his career, becoming the Prime Minister of Egypt, a top advisor, and a key figure in the royal palace during a time when many of these roles were still being defined. He worked mostly during the reign of Pharaoh Djoser, who ruled during the 3rd dynasty. Even though he had a lot of administrative responsibilities, Imhotep is most remembered for his incredible contributions in various other fields. Before Imhotep's time, Egyptian pharaohs were buried in mastabas, which were house-sized structures made of mud bricks. These mastabas were already in use during the Shemsu-Horo dynasty, the era of the very first pharaohs who ruled the southern part of Egypt. This was before Nare-Mari, also known as Narmer, conquered the north and founded the first dynasty that ruled over the entire country. Imhotep, however, had a groundbreaking idea for the burial of his king, Djoser, which led to an architectural revolution. To accomplish this, Imhotep drew upon his extensive knowledge in several fields of study, such as astronomy, physics, geology, and chemistry. The Step Pyramid of Saqqara is a landmark in history as the very first pyramid ever built, and it was all thanks to Imhotep's brilliant design and guidance. This monument marked the beginning of an era of massive architectural feats in Egypt. Imhotep wasn't just the brains behind the plan. He was also the lead architect and engineer, overseeing every aspect from the initial design to the final touches. Standing at 62.5 meters tall, it's as high as a modern 23-story building. This pyramid is part of a larger funerary complex in Saqqara, which includes a temple, both dedicated to Pharaoh Djoser. To create this architectural wonder, Imhotep led a large team of paid workers, showcasing his exceptional skills in management and human resources. This shouldn't be surprising, considering he was also the prime minister of the country at the time. Imhotep's groundbreaking work laid the foundation for many of ancient Egypt's architectural wonders. His knowledge and innovations inspired the construction of obelisks, colossal statues, temples, and notably, the pyramids on the Giza Plateau. The Great Pyramid of Pharaoh Khufu, built about 4,500 years ago, stands out as one of the most complex, intricate, and perfectly constructed monuments in history. Imhotep's pioneering efforts were instrumental in paving the way for such grand structures.
Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, is this a history channel or a travel channel? Well, from our perspective, people visit different places like Spain, Italy, France, even Israel, because they want to know the history of those countries. They want to know the culture. They visit their museums. They go to the sites. They can't wait to see the Spanish Steps. But not many people want to go to Africa. And that's because they don't know the culture. They don't know the history of Africa. What they know is the ugly things that the Western media wants you to know. They don't want you to know that there are cities within the continent of Africa that have risen from civil war and poverty to greatness now that the colonizers have been forced out. And they definitely don't want you to know how wonderfully family-oriented most African cultures are.
Fam, a real talk and just some food for thought. I always find it annoying that Caucasians and even black people claim that we Habeshas have Caucasian features, that we look like Europeans. But if human life as we know, originates in Ethiopia, in the Rift Valley. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't we say they look like us? Just some thoughts.
We know that the human species began in Africa. And everybody who populates everywhere else in the world came out of Africa to do that. What that tells you is that the genetic diversity within Africa as the origin of our species is greater than it is between any other two people anywhere else in the world.
So now that I've shared with you why I'm so intrigued with this great motherland, I have to figure out where I want to go. Because like I said, I choose where I'm going based on what I want to do when I get there. Now just think about it from my perspective. I get to visit a place that has the largest waterfall in the world, a place that's the hottest in the world, a place that has the tallest animals and the tallest people in the world, a place that has the fastest animals and the fastest people in the world, a place that has the most rhythmic people in the world. Well, what would you do? Or shouldn't I see the women that have been called the most beautiful in the world? Oh yeah, this research has been fun. And speaking of fun, I definitely want to go to what I think would be the greatest party I've ever gone to. But that's in December and my birthday's in August. So I guess that means I'm going to be going to Africa twice. Good thing I have time to figure this all out. But I guess that means there'll be another video. More history and more places. Let's go! And I want to leave a huge shout out to the content creators that made this video possible. For real. Their links to their channels are also in the descriptions. So as of now, the 3 cities I'm considering are Accra in Ghana, because I'm not going to Africa solely for its rich history. I also want to have some fun. I want to see the beauty of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. And there are too many reasons I want to visit Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. One of the main reasons I'm not going to Egypt, in case you haven't noticed, is you can't take a drone into Egypt, and I ain't going nowhere without Bandit. Alright, so I just gave you a whole bunch of insight into how I plan my trips. It's never random, and it's never because it's the end place everyone's going. For me, there always has to be a genuine connection and experience for me to want to go there. And as of now, my reasons are what I'm learning about Africa. I'm finding it so attractive, so appealing, and I hope to goodness I'm right. But if you know better, please drop me a comment. If you have any info or anything that I haven't touched on, drop me a comment. Leave me a like also on the video. But I would really love to know what you think about this trip. I would also like to know, is August a good time to go to East Africa? Because it seems to always be cloudy. And as I close this video out, I want to thank you as always for watching and supporting my channel. Hopefully you found this video entertaining as well as educational. And if so, please smash that like button, Leave me a comment, and if you aren't already, subscribe to my channel and turn on your notifications so you know when I drop the next one. Peace.